Good evening. We'll call the Board of Selectmen meeting, regular meeting for February 11th to order at 6:32. Looks like we have some audience of citizens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Two videos. Okay. First thing in order here is the approval of minutes. We had two regular meeting minutes of the 28th. Oh, no, just one, 28th of January, and then special meetings of January 28th, the 30th, and the 7th. I don't know if you had a chance to both look at all those.
I make a motion that we approve the meeting minutes for the regular meeting January 28th, as well as special meeting minutes for January 28th, January 30th, and February 7th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, audience of citizens. Looks like we have 8 residents here, and we have our 2 videographers. Anyone like to address the board with anything at this time? Well, thank you all for coming out. Okay, so we have some appointments and reappointments. I guess they're all just appointments. I shouldn't have put reappointments on there. But we have appointment of Miriam Morrissey to the Region 4 Grounds Committee. And Region 4, the chairperson of that committee, Richard Strauss, had reached out and asked if Miriam would be appointed. She has served on the Fields Committee previously and on many other committees in town, but they thought there would be a nice consistency if she moved into the Fields Committee.
I'll make a motion to appoint Mary Morrissey, Region 4 Grounds Committee.
I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Is there a term limit on that?
I think it's until the project is completed, within a few months. They have some, still some of that $10 million Fields money that they're still working on.
Okay.
Putting in some of the components. The next appointment is Jessica Langston to the Economic Development Committee, term to expire 12/1/2027. I see the EDC chair is here. Stacy, are you fine with that appointment?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So I would take a motion to appoint Jessica.
Yes, I talked with her. I think she's going to be terrific. I make a motion that we appoint Jessica Langston to the Economic Development Committee with a term expiring December 1st, 2027.
Okay.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good. And our third appointment tonight is really an appointment by the Board of Selectmen to move to a town meeting, because the members of the Community Health Committee have to be voted in at a town meeting. So Emily Chase has approached the Board of Selectmen. She would like to be appointed to the Community Health Committee, and that term would expire 12/1/2026. And again, if approved tonight at this board, it would be put on our next town meeting agenda. So can I have a motion to move Emily forward?
I'll make a motion, move to a town meeting.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay, and you had a chance to speak
I
with
did.
her?
I had a good conversation with her. I think she'll be a very fine addition.
Great. Okay, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Great. And I know Emily, and her husband's very active on the EDC now. Thanks, Chair. Number 5, we have a Deep River Sustainable Committee, and we have our chairperson, Sarah Connor, here to present to the board, and we also have Jim Lockhart as well. So,
Yes, thank you for having us. So I just want to do a quick kind of update of things we've accomplished and where we are, and then I want to spend most of the time talking about one of the actions we would like to pursue, and it requires, for its success, it requires support from town leadership. So first, yes, as Carol said, I'm the chair of the Sustainable Committee. Jim Lockhart is one of our incredibly dedicated volunteers, spends lots of time doing lots of things for the committee. In fall of 2024, we were silver certified. In your little packet I gave you, there's just a little bit of a summary of the, what that meant. We completed 28 actions, 555 certification points. It's a pretty complicated thing to explain what the points and the actions are, but I can summarize it by saying that certification isn't just something that the Sustainable Committee gets, it's really a certification for the town. And so while we kind of manage that process of applying and promoting the things that the town has done, It's a lot of activities that have been done with different committees around town, different resident organizations, and so we do some things ourselves, and then a lot of things we just try to keep up with what's going on in our town, and there's a lot going on, and so we're recognized for that by getting our silver certification. We have intentionally last year made moves to reach out to other committees in town to collaborate in other groups. So I've attended several other committee meetings to try and explain to them what we do and to try and understand what they do, and just find opportunities to work together. I thought the meeting where all of the committee heads were here was fantastic, because that is like a great example of how there's all of these things that everybody's working on, and we can hear about that and try and support them. So our small but mighty team needs to be recognized. They're super dedicated. They volunteer many hours of their time to the benefit of the town. So Lenore Grunko is my co-chair, Jim Lockhart, who's sitting right here, Tom Groth, Nancy McGee, Sarah Layton, who's also the chair of the Garden Club, and Dan Colmer. Those are our regularly attending committee members, and they do a lot of the work and support of what we do. So going forward, what our goals are, after getting silver certified, we all kind of went, oh, that's done. Weren't quite ready to tee up to do gold, but we are well on our way to gain a climate leader designation. We already have 90 points towards that, and so we felt like it was a really good fit for us to try and focus on actions that fall under the climate leader designation. That we would continue to collaborate with other committees around town, participate in annual town events, and then particularly focus on actions that have to do with energy efficiency, both for the town, municipal buildings, as well as residents, with the goal of saving money, first of all, because when you're not energy efficient, dollar bills are flying out your breezy windows, but also just education and finding ways to improve facilities, both private and public. So our priority action right now, well, first, before I go into that, are there any questions of what I just kind of spewed a lot of stuff really quickly?
Yeah, no, but we're so proud of the work your committee has done, and we're really proud we're silver certified, so thank you for all that. But I like this climate leader designation. There's only a couple other towns in Connecticut that have received that at this point. Right?
Yeah, there's a handful, and many of the actions in it that they recommend make a lot of sense. So I sit on the POCD update committee, and one of the things we've talked about is trying to just understand, kind of benchmark, where are we in our energy use, and then how do we become more efficient, and what do we do to, save energy as well as cost. And one of the actions is to benchmark town municipal buildings, what are the energy costs, and then do an energy audit of municipal buildings to see opportunities to make them more efficient and bring down those energy bills. So there's a lot of, I think, opportunity there, and we're excited to work on that. So. Any other questions before I launch into my energy campaign pitch?
Do you need that back on? It shut itself off.
Oh, oops, yes, I do. So what we, as a committee, and there are actually many other towns in our region who have committees that are very interested in doing energy campaigns as well. So it might be an opportunity to collaborate, at least from an education standpoint, with other towns in the River Cog region. My presentation is going to be Deep River focused, and that collaboration would just be a bonus. It wouldn't be a requirement, and we'll see how that goes. There's definitely a lot of enthusiasm about working together because we're all such small towns. But to bring us all together and to try and share resources and education would be a good thing. Okay.
Sorry, it doesn't have a long cord. So
Oh, that's okay. Hopefully okay. So.
I think just hit the arrow. Okay, so
sorry for you that I'm sitting in front. So what's an energy campaign? So really it's an educational opportunity through increased guidance on energy-related issues to create opportunities for residential as well as commercial or industrial to reduce your overall energy use and costs. I have residential highlighted because this campaign would be focusing on residents of Deep River, so to help residents learn and understand, how their home could be more energy efficient, and that would make them, first of all, more comfortable, as well as save some money.
Margot, can you hear Sam?
Can you hear me? Okay. Just let me know if I need to move or anything.
Well, if you want to pivot around, Sam, put the laptop on your lap.
Like this?
Yeah.
Oh, fine. That'll work.
First we gave you the chicken squeaky chair too, huh?
Okay, so our proposed campaign is, it's called the Heat Smart campaign. Within that campaign, it would be to promote home energy solutions, home energy audits. And we would partner with PACE, which is a nonprofit for implementation of the Heat Smart campaign, which is a campaign, kind of a packaged campaign that PACE, which is a nonprofit, puts together. A lot of towns in the state have taken advantage of that. The main goals are to educate all Deep River residents about how to improve their energy efficiency of their homes and save money by doing a home energy solutions audit, and I'm going to go into detail of what an audit looks like. We also want to, we will promote and communicate and open the opportunity to all residents. We do want to pay special attention to low to moderate income residents because they spend a larger portion of their income on energy, and so it's a real burden for low moderate income residents. So we want to try to make sure we make a special effort to reach those residents, and that may require partnerships with I don't know, social services, or keeping people's privacy in mind, but just trying to make sure that people know about it and feel like they can trust the process and take advantage of it and ease their burden. This campaign, there is no obligation or any pressure. There will not be people knocking on doors or anything. We provide the education, we provide the opportunity through a lot of different types of outreach, and then if a resident decides they want to participate, they proactively sign up, and then the process is in their hands. So there's no pressure, there's no heavy sales. It's just mainly education from our team's standpoint, and then it's in their hands to take the process through the next step. For income eligible residents, the audit is free. For those who aren't income eligible, there is a $75 copay for the service to have someone come into your home and do an energy audit. The energy audit fee tends to be paid for by the savings in your energy bills over time. So there is an upfront cost, but the benefits of cost savings is much greater than the $75. Any questions? Just interrupt me if you have questions, and I'll just keep going.
I'd be curious, and maybe you'll get into this, to know what would be success for you. What a certain number or percentage of households who undertook the survey and then transitioned into efficiencies.
So we have not defined a specific metric yet, but other communities that have done a campaign like this, like Essex, for example, they set a goal of a number of households actually following through with an audit. So we would work with PACE to see what's a reasonable number and see if we can hit that. Most communities far exceed what their goal is. Maybe they set their goal too low. I don't know. Yes, Jim.
I think Essex achieved 130% of their initial goal.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
We can beat that. We can beat it.
yes,
Yeah.
beat them. All right. So what is a home energy solutions audit? What is that? So it's a assessment service that's provided by Eversource. If you're in a United Illuminating community, they provide it, but it's provided by the utilities. They have a network of authorized contractors, so there's no contractor that would go into anyone's home that is not blessed, authorized, vetted by the utility, by Eversource. They come into the home and they make on-the-spot energy-saving upgrades to the client's home. It could be, they initially start by just seeing if there are any health and safety hazards, which could be like mold or asbestos. And if there are, they don't continue with the audit because it's a, health and safety, but they do refer the customer to services to take care of that first, and then they can continue with their audit once that's taken care of. They do I think it's called a door test, Jim, is that what it is? Where they kind of seal up the house and then blow
Test for
air to
leaks.
see where leaks are, and then they, close up the leaks, to seal the leaks. They might install low-flow water fixtures. They can do a ductwork test and seal leaks in ductwork. And then they also will see, are there bigger measures? Like you were talking about the insulation in your attic. They might go up into someone's attic and say, you don't have any insulation in your attic. You need to do that. Like that's like huge. You'll save a lot of money by doing that. And then help to connect them with resources to get that done. Again, for residents who are income qualified, they a lot of times can get insulation done for free. So there are a lot of programs and grants out there to help people pay for it. And some people who aren't income eligible but might get discounts through the vendors. So all of this for the income eligible residents would be free. For non-income eligible, it would be $75 to have all of this done in that visit. It's a one-day, half-day visit. And then you're left with a report of things that you can move forward with, like if you want to do insulation or if you need to figure out windows, that kind of thing. They give you recommendations. And they also educate residents about HVAC, so about heat pumps particularly because they're so energy efficient. And that way when a customer, if all of a sudden their boiler goes and their heating system stops, when they become to that, what they call an HVAC, what do they call it, an HVAC event or something, then
E-pumps,
you know kind of what the options are, like what good solutions might be. Rather than just replacing what you have, you might want to consider getting a heat pump or something like that, which is more energy efficient. Any question? Okay, so the benefit of the assessment, you lower your electric and fuel bills, your house is more comfortable. They do that testing for health and safety, which I did not know about, and I think that's great. There are some up to 100% incentives, like the insulation I was talking about. A lot of times can get that for free. And you save energy, lowering your carbon footprint, helping to fight climate change if that's something that is important to you. And if that's not important to you, all of these things still apply.
So Sarah, after the residents get the audit, then it's up to them to get the work done. So they can
Yes.
get the work done immediately over 5 years or whatever. It's
Yes.
totally.
Yeah, totally up to them. There's
Nobody follows
no
up with them.
sales pitch, no, they get a report, they're given the information. There's no requirement you use any particular vendor. Like it's up to you you can get 3 quotes and, yes, Jen?
Just as an experienced homeowner, we had it done about 4 years ago, and it was free at the time, actually. But the 2 gentlemen from a contracted company spent about 4 hours in my house, and they were all over the place. And after reviewing their work later on, I found sealed cracks that I never knew existed, and they leave you with about a 25-page report of things that were corrected and things that we could still do.
Oh, wow.
So it's worth even $75.
Yeah.
Is this season sensitive, or can they do it in the summertime
You
even?
could do it in the summertime as well. Because air conditioning.
That's true.
Right? It does feel more urgent in the winter because you can feel the cold air coming through your window. See the snow drifting around. Okay, so savings and costs. So From Eversource, it said on average, Connecticut households will save $180 per year from the visit, residually. I'm not sure what, that's an average. So obviously some people's bills are much greater, 20% of that would be much more. It can reduce heating and cooling costs by up to 20%. Like I said, $75 copay, income eligible residents. For those who basically what happens is you call, you sign up, and you go to a website, you put your name in, they contact you. Once you've signed up and you said I'm interested, they contact you, and they do kind of an intake on the phone. And at that point, that's when they'll determine, might you be income eligible to get the fee waived or have, additional services that you would get more discounts on. And that's a form, like an application that you fill out, and they help you with that. So again, that's not the town doing that, that's the Home Energy Solutions at Eversource doing that. Now, the campaign cost, so one of the best ways to reach residents, and this is where you all come in, and to get them to feel like this is something that they might want to do and have faith and trust that this isn't just a sales pitch and someone knocking on their door saying, let me mess around in your attic, is a direct letter mailing to residents coming from under, like the letters that we've seen come under the First Selectman's letterhead and name. So obviously that's the cost for the mailing and the postage and the mail merge and all of that stuff. There is a grant that they're in the third round, is Energize Connecticut Community Partnership Grant that we as a community qualify to apply for. It's due March 14th, and indications are that we'll get the grant, but can't promise. But assuming that we do, it would pay for all of those expenses. PACE, the nonprofit that I mentioned before, if we didn't get that grant, they also can help us find other funding, other types of grants to pay for it. So the idea is that it's paid for with grant money. We don't need to fundraise or anything for it.
What's the amount of that grant at this point?
So I am not sure. So the mailing, how much did Essex get? Do you remember?
I do not, but they still have a
It was
balance.
generous. We'll put it this way.
They still
It
have
was
a
generous.
balance
They haven't
left over
spent
from
it
their
all.
last grant. In fact,
Yeah.
it was probably 2023, I'm thinking. They still have money left over in that grant, so,
So the grants are generous to
yeah.
pay for mailings as well as, if you want to do signs or like a banner across they have all sorts of data on what works. The mailing's the number one, but then there are other things that you can do, like place ads or boost social media posts, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
PACE they are really data oriented, so they have all the data to know kind of where to place your funds and the best way to do it. And they also help with the grant. They write the grant, help us write the grant. So that's great. Okay, so partnerships are key to making the campaign successful. So we've got the town logo because we need your buy-in and your support to have letters go out to residents and to just support the outreach that we would be doing to residents. The sustainable team is very committed to doing this, so we would kind of be the boots on the ground doing the committee work. And then PACE is the nonprofit, and Heat Smart is the name of the campaign that they've developed. So with the three of us working together, other communities in similar ways of working together have been very successful.
Sarah, what surprised me is that I learned PACE has actually been around for 50 years. So they're not new to this.
Right.
Yeah.
The Heat Smart campaign, I think, started in 2017.
Oh, yeah, maybe, but I
But
couldn't
they
believe
as an
PACE has been
organization-
here for 50 years. I never heard of them.
Wow. Yeah. And they don't charge anything for this. They're nonprofit. This is free. Their work with us is free. There's no charge for that. So Heat Smart Connecticut is the campaign. Took me a little bit to get my head around this. So Heat Smart is the campaign, and the campaign is created by People's Action for Clean Energy. That's what PACE is. And then PACE partners with communities like ours to implement those campaigns. And the campaign includes educating residents about doing the home energy solutions audit, as well as educating them on like heat pumps and alternatives for efficient energy products. Okay, so the goals of the program, obviously, I feel like I'm repeating myself: increase energy efficiency, save money on energy bills, make your home more comfortable and safe, reduce greenhouse gas emissions, prepare residents for that. Oh, that's what it is. The HVAC moment where your boiler blows and you're like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? If you've had your, if you've done a home energy solutions visit, you will have gotten some of the information of, oh, I don't have to put another oil boiler in. I could maybe consider a heat pump, which might be cheaper for me down the road. And there are, you know, incentives to put things like that into a home. And then adopt a heat pump when appropriate. Not all homes is it appropriate to use a heat pump, so they would let you know. So this is kind of the outline of what happens when you sign up. So this is Middletown's website. So PACE sets up a website for the town. So we would have a Deep River Heat Smart website. Again, no cost to us. A resident says, oh, you know, I saw the sustainable committee at the farmer's market and that sounded really cool. I want to sign up for this. So they go to the website, they click the button, sign up now. They sign up online. The vendor follows up with them, calls them to set up an appointment. They go to their home, do all of the things that we talked about before, and then they recommend deeper measures, meaning like if you need to do insulation, you need to think about windows, you need to think about replacing your boiler, any of those things. They would make those recommendations. And if they're a good candidate for heat pumps, they'll give them educational materials, and there are heat pump consultants that can come in and help figure out how that would work in your home.
So that's a separate website, it's not, just hook it to the town website, that's a separate website. And then
So it's linked on, so Heat Smart so PACE has a Heat Smart website, and there'll be a picture of it soon, and there's a drop down for towns, and you have your own website within their website, but we can link to it from our website.
Okay.
So the team, we really would be focused on community outreach. Our job is to let people know this is available, that this is, and why it's worthwhile. And so these are the different types of ways that we can reach out to the community. Number one, partnership with the town or city government. Again, that's you. And we need your support, and particularly your willingness to have a targeted letter sent out to residents. Press releases, priority mailings. PACE can go through the data on homes and what type of fuel they have and how old they are and construction and everything to see which homes would be likely candidates for needing energy efficiency. Like older homes would be a big target. Like there's half.
It's a big target, all right.
That's right. You'll get a letter. And then there's social media, and we might to try to find the income eligible to work on reaching those income eligible folks. We might want to try to partner with social services or the food pantry or people who could connect and get the information to the right people so that they can get some help.
So do they have a letter, like a template that we could use if we want to move forward?
Yes, so there are a couple sample letters, one from West Hartford and one from East Haven. Yeah, in there.
I'm sorry, I couldn't look at the picture.
Yeah, so this is what PACE does. So PACE, I'm still amazed that they do all this stuff, because really what we do is we work with them and we connect our residents to their resources, but they are really behind the scenes support in organizing meetings, planning the campaign. To your point, maybe thinking about what our goal should be of how many people to try to get signed up. They'll provide educational materials, including a designated website. They help to establish the vendors that will, from, so Eversource has a list of vendors that are vetted and approved, and then they, Jim, tell me if I'm right on this, they pick 1 or 2 vendors that are focused on Deep River, right? So it's not, yeah, so, now that doesn't mean if a resident said, I want to go with someone else, they could, absolutely. They don't have to go with that vendor, but they, I think for efficiency, they just pick 2 of the vendors off the list, and
Yeah,
they're the ones that
The
focus on
residents
Deep
will
River.
still be able to choose.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Definitely.
So there's no, you're not pushed to one specific vendor if you want to pick someone else, you totally can do that. And then they help with events and help us secure funding, which sadly. All right, so this is a list of all the different towns that they've already done campaigns in, small and big. And they gave some data on, the success of them. Okay, so we have a bit of a deadline. PACE is going to start kind of their next round of supporting towns for energy campaigns. If we have a team put together, and also that if we have a commitment from Carol that you're supportive of Deep River doing an energy campaign with its residents. So we need to let them know by March 1st, and then they work on doing the grant writing to get the funding, and that's due March 14th. Okay. I think that's it. Yeah, I'm not gonna go through the back of stuff, I think I've talked enough. So, any questions, concerns?
Which of those towns have actually done it twice? Was it Brantford or?
I think it was Brantford.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Brantford has done 2 of these, so
Yeah.
we have names, contact names from
Right.
Brantford and North Haven and Guilford,
And
who could
West Hartford.
provide us with assistance too because of their experience.
Right, sure.
And we do plan on taking advantage of those offers.
I think it sounds like a very interesting idea and could benefit a lot of the folks in town. I'd be in support of it. I don't know if you want a motion or you want to talk to a couple of the other mayors first.
No, I'm good. I'd ask Jim a question. So when you spoke about your own house, you did the audit.
Yes.
The $75 audit.
Yep.
And you said they did weather strip. Did the audit people do that, or a separate contractor come in and do that? And was there a charge?
It was done. It was done during the audit.
Okay, and was there an upcharge for that?
No,
Or was that-
not at all. No, they. Okay, this was 4 years ago. Things have changed a little bit, but there was no charge at the time. We just happened to hit the window right, and they actually came in. There was a company, electric contractor from Fairfield County somewhere, but they spent about 4 hours, and they actually added some weather stripping in places. They used a spray. It's like a foam spray foam to seal cracks in my basement and attic. They did apply some weather sealing to one of the entryways, the kind that you can fix to your doorway.
Yeah, they come with products and
yeah,
do.
yeah.
I'm just curious if
Yeah, and
those-
there's no charge.
And they
for
actually
that.
changed out all our light bulbs at the
Yeah.
time to CFLs.
They don't do
They
light
don't do
bulbs
that
anymore.
anymore.
Yeah,
So that was like a bonus. We
Yeah.
got about 20 bulbs and that is still going strong, by the way. But yeah, they did everything there. We did not need any more insulation. They recommended, made a couple of recommendations, which we have since addressed
Yeah.
in their report.
On the Eversource website, they say a lot, you can get up to like $800 value in things that they do that day.
Yeah, depending on
So-
what they
Yeah.
find.
Right.
But I thought they were very thorough.
Yeah.
I have one question. So
Yeah.
who does the follow-up data? Like, how do we know how many people save? And, again, if there's no time limit on, they have the audit, so what is that follow-up? Like, who does the
So
data collection of that?
PACE does all that data collection. I'm not sure exactly, so through Eversource, I think they collect like how many home energy audits have been done, what town. They would know, like, did they get insulation or did they do, they have data on who's put in insulation, who's put in a heat pump, who's, they track all of that.
Do they ask the residents to submit that? Like, if I have an audit done, they say to insulate my attic. 3 months later, my budget is, I can insulate my attic.
Right.
Then do they reach out to me and say, hey, did you ever insulate your attic? Or
So
how do they know?
So that's a really good question. I'm not sure how they know, but they know. Somehow they know.
Do they put both?
Yeah, and
I was never contacted.
I'll find
after
out. I'll find
yeah.
out how
Just
they know.
curious.
Yeah,
Because
but-
I think what they know, like households that have done it. I mean, there's no like public list that they don't publicize people's
Right,
names.
but it would be
or
really
anything
neat
like
if we
that.
started this campaign and then it could report in a year or 6 months to say,
So
our
let me
residents
show you.
have saved, the $180.
That would be, yeah, but when you think about it, that would be really tough to.
There's a lot of information to gather.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's
Because of
here's
all
a
the
slide,
variables.
which is slightly confusing. So that's why I didn't. Well, I think they could have done it better. But so this is West Hartford, and in 2014 they did a campaign. So they did what we're talking about, where they sent letters out and they encouraged residents. And so you can see in 2014. 600 households did home energy solutions audits, and then whatever this difference is, let's say 300 did home energy solutions income eligible audits. So this data is available to them, and then over here, sorry, I'm getting in the way of your camera. They have data on. This is how they do it because they know who participated in rebates. So the rebates that you can get for insulation or for heat pumps, that's how they know the data. So they know based on rebates and residential efficiency rebates who put in efficient appliances, insulation, HVAC. So that's how they do it. It's through rebates. So, yeah, and you know me, I love a good spreadsheet. They're all about the data, and they help share it and let us know kind of how we're doing. One thing we didn't talk about is you can do a campaign for anywhere from 6 months to a year. Essex advised us to keep it shorter rather than longer. Just do an intense, 6 month,
Let's
3 to 6 month campaign. Otherwise, it just drags on, and people don't. They might be like, "Oh, I'll do it in 8 months or whatever." You want to. It's better, they thought, to do shorter.
So we'll just do one letter in that 6 month campaign, or are we doing multiple letters, or how is the campaign taking 6 months to happen?
Well, because you do events, you do letters, you do events,
So
you do
we're
news
gonna keep
articles, you
publicizing.
do like Deep River Day, we might have a
Tabling at different
table,
events, yeah.
or at the farmer's market, we might have a
Okay.
table, or, we might at the library have an event where people can come and
Might-
learn and.
Okay.
Might be helpful though if you're talking about continuing, you might just talk about us maybe in your newsletter once a month perhaps.
Yeah, like things like that. So we would come
Yeah.
up with a strategy for what those very specific outreach pieces are.
If you could send me that information, that would be helpful, so I don't have to rewrite something.
Oh, of
the
course,
newsletter.
of course. I mean, we don't have that level of detail for the plan yet. I mean, we needed to get approval,
Yeah,
and
we're
like our
just-
goal today was to get approval.
Just getting started.
And then make sure we have the funding, and then we'll
Okay.
have they help work with us to figure out the exact timeline and strategy and help write the letters. And, yeah.
I think it's a wonderful program, wonderful idea. My only concern would be is if someone signed up for an audit,
Yeah,
and they came in, and they did the audit,
yeah,
and they had a list a mile long. We all know people can't afford everything.
right.
And I wouldn't want the people to keep calling Jim and saying, "Hey, Jim, Mr. Lockhart, are you ready to do something?" Or are they persistent to?
Oh, no.
That would be my
No, no,
only
no.
fear, that they would push the residents to, let's get it done. I mean, I think it's a great idea. I think
Right.
it's
Oh, you're
wonderful.
talking about the contractors,
Yeah, so all of a sudden, I get an audit, and
Okay,
I
yeah.
have a list of, insulation, windows, furnace,
Right.
You know, and there's only that
And then all
much
of
of
a
a
sudden they get
grant.
calls from
And
all
all
of
of a
these
sudden,
Yeah,
every
yeah.
week, someone's calling, saying,
Ten
Mr. Gates,
window
so,
guys are
you know,
calling
and
it,
that
yeah.
would be my fear for our residents, especially
Yeah.
elderly ones.
Yeah.
That's
So
cool.
I will confirm this, but my understanding is you do your audit and then you, as the homeowner, proactively
Okay.
seek out contractors to do the work when you're ready, when
Yep.
you have the money saved or whatever, but I will confirm.
Yeah, I'm,
Yeah, I can understand, like, it's
concerned
not a
about the
marketing
elderly.
tool to
Yeah.
get your name on a list.
No, we-
Absolutely not.
We actually had to have some insulation installed under a second basement that hadn't been done, and it took me about an year and a half to actually complete that. And I didn't hear from anybody until I finally called one of the contractors.
all right, I'm just,
And that,
Yeah. No, I mean, it's a
a
valid
little slow on that,
concern, because
but,
you don't want to be setting people
yeah.
up to be
exactly.
called all the time, but I don't, my understanding is that is not what happens
No,
at
I
all.
think they just leave it up to the
They leave you
homeowner
the
to
report and
initiate
that's it.
contact, and that's it.
Yeah.
Good,
Mm.
I will verify that.
thank you.
We've all
I think it's
been,
wonderful.
seen that commercial with the mascots for the insurance, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't want that to happen.
No, we do not want this, the goal is not to have our residents be hounded and no door knocking, none of that stuff. It's up to them to reach and say, I want you to come to my house and do this service.
Good question, though.
Yeah.
Well, so on the agenda, we do not have any action item. So if somebody wants to make a motion to put it on the agenda, we can vote on it tonight, or would have to put it off to our next meeting.
Well, now you're getting close on the deadline.
So,
I make a motion that we amend the agenda to add item 5A
okay.
to discuss and approve going forward with the Sustainable Committee's recommendation on Heat Smart, executing a Heat Smart program.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Well-
Okay, any discussion? Additional? But you will find out for us?
I will confirm that vendors do not
Okay.
call residents.
Okay, well, with that confirmation, then I would be fine with that as well. So we can take a vote. Sounds like we've passed the motion then, 3-0. No one opposed, right? Everybody in favor, okay. Well, thank you very much for that
Thank you.
presentation.
Thank you for your hard work.
It does seem like a
We're
great,
very excited about it.
Yeah.
great thing to offer.
Can't wait to get started.
I know, so
I
thank
need one at
you.
my house.
Yeah.
Now, will they do town facilities as well? I know you really
So there is a
concentrated on
separate
residences.
action to do a similar thing in municipal buildings, and that's my next thing.
Oh,
And it's free, apparently. I did ask, and
We love
apparently that's free. I mean, free is great, right?
This
Free is
board of
good.
selectmen loves free.
So,
Love
yes,
free.
that is 100% on my radar screen to
Okay,
get.
so if you could get
to
us
do
that
too.
information, that
Yep.
would be great.
Absolutely. Is it okay if we scoot out for this?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thanks
very
so
much.
much.
Thank you very much for
Great to see
listening.
you.
Thank you,
Thank
everybody,
you.
for listening.
Okay. So when I read up your motion, I have to I'll send it to you. I don't know if I got it right. Let us see what else we got. Okay, number 6. So a discussion on 2 proposed changes to town ordinances, one being a new one, tax collector, and one is the procurement policy. So our finance department came up with a change to the procurement policy, which is currently listed in, under section 1, administration, of our town ordinances. And the new addition to the new rewrite of that would include a lot more detail. Right now, I wrote up a couple little items that are the biggest changes on there.
Is the version Anne Marie presented at the last Board of Finance meeting the one you're moving forward?
Yes, no other changes, just telling the public some of the changes. So we will post the old and the new on the website, so if people can read that. And the same with the tax collector ordinance, if we want to move that forward tonight. We will post them on the website so people can see, and then they will be on the next town meeting agenda.
Okay. That was my comment.
But just one of the big things for the procurement, our procurement policy right now says any goods over $5,000 have to go through some other detailed requirements. And our finance department director, Anne Marie, did such a great job looking at it. And basically, she's left in the excess of $5,000, but then she's added expenditures estimated to be in excess of $50,000 or $25,000, depending if it's infrastructure, just requiring other definite details like sealed bids and RFPs and that sort of thing. Where in the original ordinance, we did not have that requirement. We just said anything over $5,000 has to be awarded to the lowest financially responsible bidder. And she really wanted to tighten that up and put other language in there. So again, we think the Board of Selectmen has reviewed it. We presented it to Board of Finance, or Anne Marie did, and everyone's in agreement that changes need to be made to tighten up things, and we'd like to move this forward. So tonight is our official time to move that.
I'm in agreement that we should move it forward. I think the language is complex, but we spent time looking at it, and in order to get all the material in, it needs to be complex. So I am fine with it as it was presented. Do you want a motion on that?
I will, and just to add to the public, the town attorney did review this, reviewed the original, and could see the changes. Again, I think if our residents review the original and see how tiny it is and doesn't include a lot, and see the new one that has a lot more, we're really looking out for the town a lot better in the second one. So
I'm good with it. I'll second it. I'm
Okay.
good with it. We've read it enough.
Okay, so we got Russell, Gates. Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay, and then the other ordinance we had talked about was the ordinance to change the tax collector from an elected position to an appointed position. And I put it on here in case we wanted to discuss and move it forward. If we're still discussing, we can table it, or discuss tonight, table, not vote.
I'm not quite ready to move it forward yet. I'd like
Okay.
to do a little bit more.
Okay,
I'd like to do some more discussion. I'm happy to do some of that
Yeah.
discussion tonight.
okay.
If
Okay,
you
so
want.
one of, our tax collector currently has to be, it's an elected position. So some of the pros on that are that somebody qualified from town, has to be a town resident, obviously it's elected. So we get great qualified people coming in, or maybe not great people, but maybe not qualified. And then they're in for a 2-year term, they're learning the ropes. After a year, they can sit for some of the exams or whatever. So the thought was, and other towns have done this, they've taken that out of an elected position and made it an appointed position. The Board of Selectmen would then have the authority to come up with the job description, the qualifications, terms of employment, that sort of thing. And then you didn't have to necessarily have a Deep River resident. You'd get a qualified candidate from somewhere. And again, it might be a Deep River resident. There might be someone out there that is a very qualified tax collector. So that's the idea behind moving it from an elected to an appointed, but.
You know, we've discussed it, and, you know, there's pros and cons on both sides. I like having someone from the town running it, but it's a risk you take every 2 years. We've been very fortunate that we haven't had the issues here. We've had longevity with the tax collectors, but when you have your home ground person collecting taxes, or anyone in the office here, there's a little bit more of a hominess than someone that's just here collecting a paycheck.
Yep.
So again, there's pros and cons on both sides. You know, if we reach outside of our community, yeah, maybe we can find a diamond in the rough. I'm sure they're out there, but you know, the person's gonna be here collecting a paycheck.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like I said, I need a little bit more, I myself need a little bit more time to try to digest it.
To build on what Dwayne's sharing, I have similar thoughts, and I did take it, you know, I took it to the Republican Town Committee and talked about it with them, and then I've talked about it with about a dozen or so. I was boring people to death on this subject since we brought it up last. And feeling is mixed. And that's not a quantitative study, but it's mixed. And part of the reservation on it is that when you have an elected position, it gives the town people an opportunity to make a statement and to engage and to make change. Although the points of maybe not having a skilled person, you know, were understood, some of the feeling was that takes that away and lets government be just a little less responsive to the people. So that was the one position on that. The other concern was, well, all right, if we put in a proposal, an ordinance like this, who's going to do the interviewing? Does it come down to one person? Does it come down to just the selectman, first selectman doing the interviewing? Could this end up being more partisan than if it were elected? So that was some of the discussion that happened. So I would think for myself at this point, I'm in favor of not changing the ordinance. That's where I am standing at this point. But did want to share with you that I've talked about it all in, probably with easily 25 people.
Okay.
That's not
Well, I will
quantitative.
add that, so if the person is hired, then discipline and you can terminate, where an elected person, you're kind of stuck with them.
For 2 years.
For 2 years. And this was something that our current tax collector is in favor of, and she asked me to try to move this forward. She is not necessarily not planning to run again, but, she's just concerned that, maybe we wouldn't have any qualified people within the town limits. And it is, she had worked, I believe, in Brantford before she worked here, so we were lucky that we had a Deep River person with all this experience looking to then, approach one of the political parties to say, hey, I'm qualified and I'd love to work for my town. And again, we might have quite a few people in town that have this qualification, but this was just something that other towns are doing, because then you have a bigger pool and you don't, especially if somebody leaves mid-term, sickness or whatever, then you're kind of scurrying to find a Deep River person that can come in and fill in the role. And maybe have
There
more
are
experience.
pluses.
That's
There are
right. There's
pluses and
definitely-
minuses.
Again, I'm not saying I'm against it. I just,
Yeah, no, that's fine. I
give
just
me another week or so. I mean, I think it's.
wanted to
a
point
good
out the
idea.
termination part that I didn't say, but
Yeah.
yeah, so we would, okay, well, we can table
you.
it.
Yeah.
I just thought if that's something we were ready to move forward,
Because
we
we
put
can
it
add
on the
on to
town
another,
agenda.
we're gonna, work
Town meeting,
town meeting's
yeah.
coming up, so.
Yeah. Okay. So we will, so I just table that, or do
Table.
I need a motion?
Table. Just table.
Okay. Okay, so discussion on fire vehicle purchase. So I just wanted to touch base on that again. We were at the January 28th, we had a special meeting. We had a consultant come in, Jim Lyons, I believe his name was. And some of the things he talked about was the benefits of RFP versus the tag-on, I believe it's called, right? And the RFP is a time-consuming process. The tag-on is something that's recognized in the industry because it's something, if you've purchased something within, the last 3 years, I believe it was, basically from the same vendor, same specifications, then it really behooves you not to have to go out to the RFP, which is a long process. And a lot of times, typically, the people that didn't get awarded the contract or the RFP 1 or 2 years ago or whatever are not going to even bid on your new RFP because they didn't get it the other time.
Also, there was that element of potential, I believe it was $100,000 savings. And
Right.
that was very attractive.
Right, so with an RFP, it would take months, potentially. You write the RFP, you go out for bid, and we were made aware that next January with the EPA and the Connecticut, I guess, emission standards have changed. So the engines are going to be revamped and with a potential of a $100,000 price tag increase. So we are kind of looking at expediting this and supporting the firemen and the consultant's advice. It seemed very straightforward and prudent. So
It
I
did.
think,
I was very good with it when
Yeah.
we met there 2 weeks ago.
And how do we, because it's the same vendor, we do not have to triple bid again. It's an extension, so the original triple bidding is valid for this as well.
exactly. And again, that's something that Anne Marie made sure was touched on in our new procurement, which basically says, if I could read the sentence, exemptions from advertising and sealed bids. The requirement of advertising and sealed bids shall not apply to contracts for various things, and it says sole source purchases, including purchases where the purchase of an item or service is meant to match an existing installation of equipment. So what the fire department is proposing is to get I believe, an exact vehicle, the exact same fire engine
As the
as
last
they've
one.
just ordered. Is that correct, Tim? I was
Yes.
calling you out there.
Yes.
So again, we're gonna, even if we RFP'd, it'd be the same specs and everything would be the same. We're just gonna waste all that time going through
money.
that process. So,
But we are gonna go through the process for the brush truck, right?
Yes.
We're gonna go through the 3 bids for the brush truck. It's different animal than the big truck.
right, so we're only talking about the fire engine for this.
Right.
We're talking
Tag
about
on.
the engine for this, correct? The brush truck will depend on what it ends up being. We may be forced, due to the type of vehicle and the style of vehicle, it might be that it's only offered by one vendor, but we'll cross that when we get to
But
it.
it won't be a tag on like this
No,
one.
it will not
No.
be.
So that's all. I'm good with it now.
I'm
I'll
good.
make-
All right,
I'll make a
so
motion.
okay, Gates made a
I'll
motion.
second it.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Okay, so that's good, we can move that forward and get that truck ordered. Number 8, Firehouse Building Committee update. I just wanted to say the Firehouse Building Committee has been emailing and setting up, and we do have a meeting on Thursday at 2 o'clock here at the town hall with our consultant who had, project manager who had offered to come in and kind of just give a general overview of the project. And I don't know if we're going to add on the architect coming in as well. So I'll get back to you on that. Tim had just emailed me earlier about that. All right, so that was just a note of interest, for the town. And now we're back to our audience of citizens. Anyone like to address the board? We do have one person online. Gary, are you online? Do you want to comment? No? Well, Gary is there, but he's not talking. Okay.
I just have one thing, just interest. 3 of the fire department members flew out yesterday to Michigan to do the final inspection on the tanker truck, the truck that will be housed in Winthrop, to replace the tanker that went out of service permanently a few weeks ago due to mechanical issues. So that truck's been on order for quite some time now. So hopefully soon it will make its trip to the dealer in Rhode Island where they'll do a lot of upfitting and mounting of our tools and equipment on it, and then get it here to Deep River so we can start training and radio installations and all that and get it in service. So
Is there a rough estimate when?
I haven't talked to the committee. I got some videos of the truck pumping. They had it on the doing pump testing yesterday outside. Sent a couple pictures this morning of the truck up on a lift, and they were doing undercarriage and chassis inspection, all that. And earlier they just texted that their flight was canceled and they were scurrying to get to another flight. So I haven't talked to them yet.
Okay, good.
And
But things went well.
that was a pumper you said?
The tanker.
Tanker. Oh, yeah, I had tanker. Oh, I said pumper, I had tanker. Okay. Anyone else?
Yeah, Jeremy Chase. So I was there for the questions about, or my comments about the fire vehicle purchase, tag on versus RFP. I was there for the meeting of the tag on. It all made sense to me. However, in this discussion here, you said you were going to move forward. It wasn't clear what that meant. Does that mean that we are going forward with the tag on, or you're going to?
Yes, I'm sorry. The motion was to move forward with the tag on versus the RFP.
Okay.
Sorry, that wasn't clear. I'll make sure it's clear when I write up the minutes.
This is my turn now. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Mike.
Mike Joy, Wolsey Brook Road. So, I guess a quick comment. So, we'll talk about the tax collector being elected, vice appointed. The tax assessor is appointed?
She's hired, yes.
Hired.
Yeah.
So, and then I guess the question is, what are the other towns? Chester, Essex, Old Saybrook, Haddam, Killingworth, what are they doing? Are they elected or appointed? Appointed seems to make sense to me. They're not in a, at least to me, I don't see how they're, what power do they have? I mean, their job is to create a list, and go collect taxes, right? Collect the paycheck, right? Their paycheck is to go collect taxes to pay, so the town gets their money. I don't see how that being an elected position makes sense, but
It shouldn't be a political position.
should be a political position, right? And that's why I'm like, why he was elected? I'm like, I guess I didn't, I've been paying attention to the check boxes as they go down and make them all happen. So appointed makes more sense to me. I'll make that 2 cents there. Thanks.
So we do know that Chester, so I got this from Chester, basically. They just passed this last June, I believe it was, so they have an appointed tax collector now.
Essex is still elected then, I guess?
I haven't actually looked into that, I will, I'll let you know.
Thank you.
Yeah, oh, thank you. Sorry, we're still looking for a recording secretary, so I'm taking notes. Our online person, do you have anything to add?
I'm all set, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. Okay, what else we got here? Selectmen update. So I just had a few things. We got our first payment from the solar company, and it was for 2 months. They didn't pay January. They were late figuring out that they were going to do a direct deposit. So we got a first payment, came in right at the end of January for $6,667.40.
Beautiful.
So every month on the first, they're supposed to be paying us $3,334.20 or something. I just divided that in half real quick. So that is really good news. The snowstorms, I wanted to thank everyone for following the recent parking ban that we had. Our Deep River constables were out enforcing that and said it pretty, the residents did a really good job. So the main road was cleared, and there's maybe one car that got a little plowed in down by the Piano Works. So thank you to the residents. Please remember to clear your sidewalks and don't shovel snow into the roads, because then when they replow, it comes back on the sidewalk, and we get a lot of calls about this circular thing that goes on. Let's see, we did have an executive session, and for those who follow the Board of Selectmen minutes, I just wanted to say that the Board of Selectmen did review the appraisals for the 2 vacant properties. We are going to move forward with marketing those, so if you are interested in those Mislick properties, look for that. Right now, our finance director is out ill, and the town attorney is very busy, so we haven't moved forward since our meeting on, what was that, Friday? We had a meeting. But the Board of Selectmen has voted to move that forward, and now we have a little better idea of what we're going to ask for, that we know the value of the properties. So again, if anyone's interested in those properties, please look for that. It'll be well publicized, and then with ample time to get offers in and that sort of thing. And I believe we're going to do like a sealed bid or something, but we're going to work all the detail out as soon as we get our crew together. What else do I have here? I just wanted to remind our small businesses, the Middlesex County Revitalization Committee through the Middlesex Chamber has the business operating grants. They start taking applications this, actually it's Saturday, 2/15, and that lasts through March 15th. A little different this year is that you do have to attend like a training session or an informational session, just how to fill out the application, what it can be used for, that sort of thing. But they give out, I forget how many grants they're giving out every year. Do you remember how many grants?
I don't remember.
No. But one of our businesses got one last year, Soundview Plastics, got $25,000 grant. So please, if you're a small business and you think this can help you, reach out to me. You can reach out to Catherine or Dwayne, but we've been going to the Middlesex Chamber, and they've been talking about this, so it's a great thing for our businesses.
Not to put you on the spot, but back to the solar.
Oh, yeah.
If you can just look into that payment, because it seems low. Because I thought the contract was for $43,000 per year.
It was.
Well, 43,000 divided by 12 is $3,583. So it's only a couple $100, but a couple $100 adds up.
Well, I'll look into
No,
that
just,
because
you know.
it was supposed to be the month after they were online.
Yep.
And they were late getting online.
Might have been
so
prorated, but
maybe
I just
they
want to make sure
prorated
that,
this
you know,
Okay.
it's,
I just got this
every
from.
penny adds up.
Absolutely. Not pennies, nickels now, remember?
Oh,
Yeah, I got this
We're throwing
from,
pennies away.
so I haven't talked to
No, I'm
anybody
just-
about this yet, so.
I don't want to get behind, but
Yeah, no, good idea. And it took a little longer to get the first payment, so maybe that's why. Okay. A good catch. but you're right, it was about 43,000 a year.
43,001, I think.
Yeah. And then we're about to send in an application for a steep grant for sidewalks. That's due by February 20th. So that'll keep your fingers crossed that we get that. What else did we want to talk about, Selectmen? Anything I forgot to update?
Any update on the possible funding for the fire station?
No, I think I have a meeting with Norm Needleman, Senator Needleman next week, but his office is confirming that. And I have reached out to our representative, Lamarck Muir, and she came to visit twice, and we've talked about it, and I've sent all the details about the firehouse project. So we're working to try to get our funding secured, yeah, best we can do. Again, we were putting all our eggs in that USDA basket, as the public has heard before, and now with the uncertainty with the federal funding, we're kind of looking on a state level to see.
That's good.
Good, thank you.
All right, anything else?
Do you like a motion for adjournment?
I will take a motion to adjourn at
So moved.
7:38. Okay.
We need a
All
second.
those in-
Second.
yeah, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, folks. Oh, and happy Valentine's Day.